Okay, it's time to red pen correct PSSA practice number 1. Problem 1. First of all, the variable represents the additional miles, and it'd be multiplied by 75 cents because that's what each additional mile costs. So you multiply 75 cents times X. Then you would add on the 1.5 or the $1.50 for the first mile, and it would give you a total of 10. So the final answer, the correct equation, is letter B. For number 2, all we need to do is get the variable by itself. We need to multiply both sides by 2 5/10. And you would end up with t equals negative 13. And I took my calculator and I checked it just to make sure, and it worked. So the final answer would be A, t equals negative 13. In number 3, I applied the distributive property to letter B to prove that that is the correct answer. Now in number 4, I took the highest temperature and subtracted the least temperature to find the difference, which ends up being 96 degrees between them. Divided that by negative 12, which is 12 degrees less per hour. Ended up with negative 8 hours. And knowing that time can't be negative, the final answer would be D, 8 hours. In number 5, to find out the distance between two numbers, you take the greater number, subtract by the lesser number, so it'd be negative 5 minus negative 14, shown here in the number line. Change to adding the opposite, you end up with a positive 9, so the answer ends up being C, would be the correct, the proper expression. So in number 6, we are looking for the cereal that costs the most, so you set up each of the rates as fractions, and you want to change each denominator to a 1, so you divide by the number of ounces in the numerator and denominator. And you'll notice that how much it is per ounce, and ends up being the answer for letter D is 49 cents per ounce. So that would represent the most per ounce of the cereals. So in number 7, when we set up the equation, the variable is going to be C, which represents the cost of one ticket. And that's going to be multiplied by 9 because there's 9 tickets being purchased for the concert. And you're going to include $5 for the service charge. And that total then will equal 104. So your equation ends up being 9C plus 5 equals 104. Here's my idea of how I estimate it to find the solution. Then I actually solved the equation by undoing the operations in reverse order. Got rid of the adding 5 by subtracting 5 on both sides. Then to get rid of the multiplication of 9, I divided by 9 on both sides. Ended up with C equals 11. Did the check step. My final solution, each ticket would cost $11. Okay, let's finish our corrections by turning to the back. And the first part, we are going to be solving each of the equations using inverse operations. As you notice in number 1, I'm going to be dividing by 9 on both sides. In number 2, I'm going to add 12 to both sides. And in number 3, I'm going to multiply by 4 on both sides to get my solutions. In the middle part, we're locating certain integers on the number line. And then in the last section, we're going to do some integer operations. We're going to subtract by adding the opposite. So please look carefully how I change each subtraction to an addition problem by adding the opposite, except for number 13, which was easy enough. 9 minus 5 is 4.